So,
Interesting guest this week. Pastor Teck from the Church of Friends of Jesus Christ on Nugget Avenue in Scarborough, Ontario.
yes.
Deals a lot with caregivers, Filipinos, dealing with their culture shock coming to Canada. Welcome, Pastor Teck.
Oh, it's my
Welcome,
pleasure.
Pastor. Yeah, I brought up this topic because I can relate to the topic, and I invited you also because I want to have a clear view of what culture shock is para mapanood din ng mga kababayan natin. So, Pastor, what is culture shock in your own understanding?
Well, in my own understanding, culture shock is when there is a difference between your own culture and then you go to another culture, and then suddenly you find yourself at loss because it's completely different. And I believe that it's because of our upbringing too. Like in the Philippines, we have our own culture there, and we are used to it. We grew up in that culture, and so when we come over here, suddenly
You're not familiar.
It's a different way of life.
It's a different way of life, completely different. Especially in the 80s, maybe now it's not a big problem at this time now. You know why? Because even in the Philippines, the Western culture is also being adopted there. Because we have the TVs and because a lot of people are
Social media
traveling,
also.
the social media and those things. So it's not a big problem as before. But still, it's a shock to many people because, again, the way of life here is completely
So, did everybody experiencing culture shock or some?
Some, yes.
The children seem to-
mostly. The children.
A lot of
mostly.
homesickness.
Homesickness, yes.
It's a problem.
It's a big problem because when you come to a country where you are completely a stranger with nobody, no relatives at all, except your mom or maybe your dad or siblings.
Everything is unfamiliar to you.
Yeah, unfamiliar to you. Then it's a big problem. Adapting to the land is a big problem. Unlike adults, Filipinos are known to
Adaptability.
be, very good in adapting to new situations. We are known for that. But for the kids, when they go to school and everybody speaks English, and they're not used to that. They do speak English, but they're not used to seeing everybody speaking English because it's not our mother tongue. So it's a shock. And many times they just tend to draw back. They don't want to blend in. But in other places in the Philippines where, it's also multicultural in a sense because you also have a lot of foreigners, especially if you've been to private schools. When they come over here, they can adapt also easily, some of the kids. But we do have.
Solution, getting involved in groups.
Yes.
Yes, I believe your church does a lot of...
Yes, actually what happened here is, in the past, when we had this kind of problem, we used to involve them in the church. I think you get to have a community. Once you come into a new country, you get to have a community. It's a church community is the best. Not because I'm a pastor, but because, the relationships very, very close. And we have a lot of youth, we have a lot of children, and they can involve in those activities. And so they adapt to the land easily.
Well, and I think in a church environment, people are more open and willing to socialize and accept new people.
That's right, that's right. Because, in many of the churches, they also have the welcome ministry. Like in our case, we welcome newcomers, and we try, to the best we could, to extend help and be a family to them.
So how would you compare the culture shock to the homesickness?
Well, it's completely different because when you talk about homesickness, it's more of a relationship. See, you are homesick because
you
just miss the home. Parents, if you have grandparents there, you have cousins, and everybody's back in the Philippines. You miss them because you grew up with them.
Especially during holidays like Christmas, birthdays.
That's right, yes.
Yeah.
You get calls on your birthdays.
And once you get sick,
somebody else will come.
Somebody is coming.
Yeah. But over here, because you are not a very, very small family, if you have extended families here, It could be distant cousins and those things, titos and titas, you know, just friends of your parents here. But unlike in the Philippines, where you are blood related, and so it's a completely
different
situation.
And with Filipinos, there's so many come here, not unlike yourself, where you know no one. When you arrived, you knew no
Oh,
one.
no one.
No relatives, no friends, nothing. So that it's a difficult situation.
It's a difficult situation when you know no one. But if you have like uncle, blood-related
It's so easy.
uncles and aunties, it's
But you
a
know,
lot easier.
Filipinos are always in the survival mode. So we always have that kind of, you know, when we go to another country, we have to be ready. And the POEA also is teaching us how to be prepared in case of things like this.
Yes,
You know?
yes.
You do a fair amount of counseling at the church,
Yes,
you were
yes,
telling
I
me.
do.
What is the number one issue you have with caregivers when they come to you with problems? What seems to be their number one?
Well, number
Problem
one
to
would
deal
be
with.
it's about their employer, of course.
Uh-oh.
See? Listen, it's for
A
you.
lot of employers, sometimes they are very demanding. As far as they're concerned, they are demanding because you got to do this, you got to do that. Why did you not do this? Why did you not do that? I think, you know, it's not because the employers are demanding sometimes, but it's just the way that we do the work. Like, again, it's a culture. Back in the Philippines, if you are a caregiver there, you know, you are so dependent on your boss. Now, they tell you everything that you do. And over there, you know, if you are not to do things, you know, don't do it. You know, let me do it. But when you come over here, because over there, many of the caregivers there, they did not really finish school. You know, they just work as caregivers because just to get by. But when they come over here, it's a profession.
It is.
It is a profession. That's why I've been telling them that you treat your job as a profession.
Absolutely.
And because it's a profession, you are doing the work.
With dignity.
Yeah, with dignity, of course. You know, don't try to lower yourselves. Now, because you are a professional, in fact, you're educated. You know, you've gone through all kinds of training. Now, when you come over here, the employers expect you to do your work. You know, you don't have to wait for them to tell you this.
You have to use common sense most of
Yes,
the times
yes.
in Canada.
Initiative, you know, you got to have your initiative.
Assertive, you have to be.
Yeah. But because of that culture that we had, many of the caregivers that are here, they tend to not touch things unless they are told to, because that's how
We brought
How
up.
it is at home.
Yes, back home.
Because even if you're married, you know, at home,
Yes.
it's the husband who's always telling you what to do back home during those
Oh,
times, but
really?
not me. Hello, I always tell them what to do.
That's why you're single.
Yeah, that's why I'm single. Hello.
Yeah. That's basically
Yeah.
the problem sometimes. So just knowing what the employers would want, you know, you can adapt, you know, and then you can work
I think in the job place in Canada, that goes with any profession. You know,
That's right.
any employer expects you to think for yourself.
That's it.
You know.
Yes, yes.
If you see it, do it.
Yes.
Because and that I know it's expected of me at my position at work, but so it is a little different, I guess. Yeah.
And maybe to help the caregivers, you know, adjust also to this kind of situation. Maybe it's good because it's a profession.
Absolutely.
I think that it's good also to sit with the employer from time to time. Say, what do you expect me, you know, to do here? You know, I'm planning to do this. Just be open.
Yeah.
Just be open, and I believe that they would appreciate it.
Yeah, I always do that when I
Yeah.
was a caregiver. I always call their attention. I need to speak to you.
Yeah, you just tell them that you look at things this way and say, is it good if I would do this and I would do that? Let me know. If not, then
That's
I
a
won't.
good point.
Yeah.
Say just communicate. Basic is communication.
Good.
And
Interesting.
yes.
It's very interesting, you know.
Well, we've got to take a break.
Yeah.
Thank you, and we'll be back in a few minutes. And
Magbabalik po kami.
You're going to be here with Pastor
Pastor
Teck
and Rose.
and Rose, caregiver,
Yeah.
that's been through it all.
Sure.
Okay, we'll be back.
Kababayan, nandito na naman po kami at kasama ko pa po si Pastor Teck at ngayon po ay kasama po namin si Rose Gavan. Pastor Teck, so nagka-counseling ka, 'di ba, sa mga caregivers. So meron kang kasamang kaibigan from the church.
oh,
Yeah.
sa
So
church, yeah.
tell me the story, Pastor, kung anong
Well, itong si Rose, ang tawag ko sa kanya, Sister Rose. Nagkakilala kami matagal na. Nung wala pa yung asawa niya dito, wala pa yung anak niya dito. Kaya kilalang-kilala ko siya. May mga problema siya. Walang ibang takbuhan naman kundi ako.
Kaya, nung
Yan, kaya
nagka-problema
kakilala
ka.
kami.
So, anong naging problema mo, Rose?
Eh, siyempre, pag yung bang bagong dating ka dito, ay sa yung ano
Culture
ka,
shock.
yeah, and at saka na homesick ka rin, ganon. So, lalo na dito, you know, pag sampa mo dito, eh, siyempre minsan, you know, ang environment
Iba.
dito, oo, tsaka yung mga weather, ganon.
Malamig.
Malamig.
Nasa
tapos,
bahay ka lang.
Oo, nasa bahay ka lang.
Naranasan mo ba ang depression din? Nung
Not really because pastor is always there, no, na siya malalapitan
so,
all the time.
Anong tulong nagawa ni Pastor sa iyo?
Kasi yung bang culture shock na sinasabi mo, yung pag-adjust dito, lalo na sa isa trabaho, ganon,
Sa
na
employer mo.
sa employer na dapat maging matyaga, mabait sa employer mo, at saka gawin mo yung nararapat na gawin na sa trabaho mo, maski hindi sinasabi. Pag meron kang nakitang kailangan gawin, you have to do it. Gagawin mo para sa ganun ay maka-adjust ka, ganun.
So, Pastor, anong maibibigay mong tip sa mga caregivers para sa mga ganitong sitwasyon? Para maiwasan ang culture shock, homesickness, and depression?
Yeah, kasi ang unang-una dito, ang problema natin, tulad na nabanggit ko kanina, iba kasi sa Pilipinas. Ang tingin natin sa sarili natin sa Pilipinas, mababang trabaho ito. Hindi isang profession. Pero pagdating natin dito, isang profession, ang tingin sa atin dito profession. Sa katunayan nga, hindi lamang Pilipino ang mga caregiver. Marami rin galing sa Europe. Pero pag umasta sila, para mga professional. So, yan ang madalas sinasabi ko sa mga kasama natin na ituring mo sarili mo na isang professional. Makipag-usap ka na maganda. May mga recommendation ka, mga mungkahi ka, gawin mo. Gawin mo. Hindi mo na itatago sa sarili mo. Tulad niyan. May employer siya, na Jewish employer. Siyempre, ibang pamamaraan nila. So, ganito kung dapat mong gawin. Ibigay mo na siya ng idea kung anong dapat gagawin niya. At yan ang ginagawa niya. So, ang pinakamaganda talaga rito is relationship. Magkaroon ka ng employer. Magandang relasyon. Ang relationship. Pag magandang relasyon diyan, maganda rin pakikitungo sa iyo. Paano magkaroon ng magandang relationship? Hindi naman laging nagpapakumbaba. Kundi sinabi ko kanina, communication builds relationship. Pag nag-uusap kayo, tulad niyan, napakagandang nangyari sa buhay niya kasi lately, dahil ngayong employer niya, parang naging kapatid niya. Parang tinuring sa kanya kapatid. Hanggang ngayon. Ilang taon na siya doon. Yung anak niya, parang anak na rin ng employer.
That's good.
Wala pa yung asawa niya dito, isa sa mga bagay dito is yung na-homesick siya, yung asawa niya.
Nasa Texas.
Sa Texas.
Yung sabi nga.
Sabihin mo nga, anong nangyari?
Ikwento mo nga yung
Oh yeah,
Texas.
kasi itong asawa ko, sumakay siya sa barko. So sabi niya sa akin, andun daw siya sa Houston, Texas. So, nabanggit ko sa amo ko, sabi niya sa akin, okay, sabi niya, pumunta ka doon, ibinili niya ako ng ticket para ma-meet ko ang asawa ko daw, makapiling ko.
Wow.
Then from after that, nabuntis naman ako. So, it's a blessing.
It's a blessing.
Yeah, tuwang-tuwa nga siya dahil nabuntis ako. Inalagaan nila ako kasi very sensitive akong maglihi. So, tinulungan ako. Pinapakain pa niya ako, siniservan pa nila
That's
ako.
good.
Yeah, pati yung alaga ko. Sabi niya, okay, magpahinga ka lang dyan. At ako'y manonood ng TV. So, pag naman na okay na ako. So, yun nga. At saka, open ako kasi sa kanya. Sinasabi ko lahat ng
ng problema.
Yeah.
Maganda.
Saka yung komunikasyon, yung komunikasyon, ang talagang importante sa...
Maganda kasi nag-o-open siya kasi karamihan ng caregiver takot mag-open dahil sasabihin nila pwedeng gamitin ito sa akin in the future against me. Kaya yun din ang takot din kasi sa atin sa Pilipinas puro takot Pastor, may tatanong ako kasi naranasan ko ang culture shock sa anak ko, hindi sa akin. Nung dumating siya dito last year, 1 month lang umuwi na dahil na culture shock nga siya. So, anong mapapayo mo sa mga magulang na katulad ko? Kasi I'm a single mom. So, kasi binata. Naikwento ko yung pagdating niya, hindi kami magkakilala, we're both strangers. Hindi ko alam anong gusto niya, hindi ko alam kung ano yung hilig niya. Ganon din sa akin. So, and that, nakauwi siya ng Pilipinas dahil yun ang gusto niya, hinayaan ko muna. So, paano namin mapiprevent yung mga ganong bagay?
Well, nasa magulang yan, yung pakikitungo rin sa anak. Kasi yung haba ba ng hindi niya pagkikita,
From
kung minsan
baby.
nag-a-adjust yun yung mga bata. Sa tulad mo, ang kasama niya dito, mga lola, mga auntie, pinsan, gano'n, Tapos bigla kang darating sa buhay niya, binata na to. So, minsan nagbabago rin yan. So, nasa pakikitungo rin, ikaw din mag-a-adjust, hindi lang siya mag-a-adjust. Hindi ba? Kasi, try to bridge the gap. Kasi mahabang panahon
Baby pa siya.
Oo. Ngayon, ang pinakamagandang dito talaga is isama mo siya sa mga kaedad niya. Kaya nga doon sa church, ganun ginagawa natin. Na meron tayong mga gawain doon na may mga kabataan, na mga youth, mga children's ministry.
Involved sila.
I-involve mo sila doon. Pag na-involve sila sa ganun, makapag-adapt. Kasi sa kanila, yung edad nila yun, alam mo hinahanap nila. Hindi trabaho barkada, kaibigan. Pagka nagkaroon sila ng kaibigan yan, titira sila dito.
Yun nga sabi niya, ma, gusto ko na umuwi kasi namimiss ko ang aking pamilya. Sabi ko, ako ang pamilya mo. Ma, yung mga kaibigan ko po.
Ayan,
Sabi ko, nako, eto na tayo.
Kasi marami siyang naging kaibigan doon. Tapos pagdating dito, ikaw lang.
Ako lang. Tapos nagtatrabaho pa ako
Yun, iwanan mo siya sa bahay, mag-isa sa doon. Ngayon, kung marami siyang makasama sa kaibigan niya, di may kasama siyang kalaro. So,
hindi pa kasi kita kilala nun, Pastor. At least ngayon kilala kita, tatapon ko sa church mo.
Yeah, kasi ang dito wala namang isang hindi kahon na solusyon yan. Kaya nga counsel Ang counseling dito is isa-isa. Anong problema mo? Anong problema ng anak mo? Isa-isa. Hindi pwedeng lahat ganitong solusyon, lahat pwede yan. Mag-apply lahat yan. Hindi, kaya individual. Pinakamaganda talaga, maghanap kayo sa community, tapos kung meron siyang pwede maging makalapit ba, kaibigan mo, tulad nito, o kung yung pastor, yan ang magmi-minister, magka-counsel sa iyo, gagabayan yung bata.
So, ikaw ba nung na-counsel ka ni Pastor, na-satisfied ka naman dun sa nagawa niyang tulong sa iyo?
Oo, satisfied kasi lahat ng in-advise niya sa akin, ginawa ko. So,
And effective naman.
Yeah, talagang effective talaga. So, nung dumating na nga yung anak ko dito, sa church, so mayroon siya mga kaibigan. So, hindi siya,
hindi siya nahirapan.
Nahirapan. So, may mga kalaro siya, ganun.
So, maganda talaga na ang lahat ma-involve sa isang community.
Right.
Kasi sabi nga sa atin, 'di ba, yung walis, tanggalan mo ng isa, nagkakawatak-watak, pero pag buo siya, mas matibay.
That's right.
Tapos yung idagdag ko lang sa kanya, yung pakikisama rin sa employer, yung bang pakisama ka rin na may demand sila. Pagbigyan mo rin, kasi meron mga demands ka rin, pagbibigyan ka rin. Give and take ba?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Hindi yung ikaw lang ng kabig ka ng kabig.
Exactly.
So tulad nito sa kanyang kalagayan, dahil maganda nga samahan nila nabibigayan sila Kung minsan sabi kahit na minsan wala naman sa schedule na, Rose, can you come and just do this and do that? So pupunta siya. Ngayon, lately, nung nagkasakit siya, yan ang maganda.
Yun.
Yung maganda, nung nagkasakit siya, 50-50. Sino mag-alaga sa kanya? Pakisabi lang kung sino nag-alaga sa iyo.
Ang nag-alaga sa akin is at saka ang aking asawa. Yeah, so nung nagkasakit ako, then umuwi ako sa bahay na pinauwi na ako. Then after that, siya sumundo sa anak ko from Thunder Bay nung nag-aaral siya. So, nung pagdating niya, palagi niya akong binibisita, tinitignan sa kwarto. So, nakita niya gabi noon, sabi niya, oh no. Sabi niya gano'n, this is not good, sabi niya. So, ngayon tumawag siya ng ambulance na dinalaan naman ako dito sa Sunnybrook. Yeah, could you imagine that na hindi ko akalain na siya ang nag-stay doon overnight. Binantayan niya ako sa emergency room, pinauwi niya itong asawa ko dahil may trabaho, sabi niya sa kanya, umuwi ka na at akong magbabantay sa kanya.
Rose?
Then natulog siya sa floor. Inilapag niya yung ang kanyang coat. Sabi ko, no, don't sleep there. Sabi ko gano'n. Sabi niya, okay lang. Sabi niya gano'n sa akin. So natulog siya overnight doon.
Ang-
Binantayan
ang-
niya ako, hindi niya ako pinabayaan.
Ang employer is lawyer.
Lawyer.
Yeah.
Lawyer yung
Lawyer. Yeah.
Naku, one day, invite natin.
Yeah.
Kasama ka. Kasi
Yeah.
magandang
Maganda,
ano
yeah.
yun.
Yeah.
Relationship between employer and caregiver.
Considering na hindi na siya nagtatrabaho doon.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Matagal na siyang wala doon. May ano siya, sa pharmacy technician na siya.
Yeah,
ngayon.
yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
good.
Yeah, so
So matagal na. And yet, yun pa rin ang nag-alaga. Tinawagan lang niya. Ang pumunta.
Yan, naranasan ko rin yan dahil nung nagkaroon ako ng Bell's palsy, akala ko stroke. Tumawag ako ng 911, nandun nga sila Michael, sila Josh, at binantayan din ako ni Brian, yung kaibigan din nila. Nag-stay talaga sila sa hospital.
Wow.
So tayo, lucky talaga tayo
Yeah.
na nandito tayo sa Canada,
Mm-mm.
na may mga mababait na employer
Yeah.
na. Kasi mababait din naman talaga tayo.
Yun nga eh.
Yeah.
Sabi
Kasi-
nga, bigayan lang yan.
Bigayan lang.
Yeah.
Kasi kung ikaw talagang astig din, astig din
Yeah,
ang amo
that's
mo,
right.
diba? So,
Yeah.
nasa sa caregiver din talaga
Yeah,
yun eh.
yeah.
Kung naiintindihan niya yung sitwasyon ng amo, you know, do extra mile, diba?
yeah.
So, maraming salamat, Pastor,
Ay,
sa
it's a
napakagandang
pleasure.
episode nito. Talagang ako'y lucky na nakilala kita. At salamat, Rose, sa one day, invite natin ang amo mo.
Yeah, yeah, you're
At
welcome.
nandito kayong dalawa kasi
Yeah,
napakaganda
yeah.
ng story
Yeah.
niyo. Thank you po, Pastor.
Ay,
Ate.
welcome.
Magbabalik po kami sa aming pagbabalik po ay makakasama ko na po si Michael.